I think my colleague Jane Kim is probably best able to answer that, but I think the Board of Supervisors needs to make a commitment to public education. I think we can't just rely on the current funding source. I think we need to increase the rainy day fund so we can get more money to public education. I think we need to support public education, and I think in that area right now, I don't know that the statistics support putting a new school in that area, but I think we need to look at that because that's part of a livable neighborhood. That's part of a neighborhood. That's part of the reasons people will keep their families here and not move to the suburbs. That's one of the reasons why people will continue to live in San Francisco, and families will come to San Francisco to raise to be able to enjoy everything else here. I think we need to have a greater commitment at the Board of Supervisors, but I think we need to keep in mind that's part of a neighborhood culture is to be able to have your kids walk to school.
How would you increase the rainy day fund? Where would that money come from?
Well, I think, I run a city agency. We had a $6 million budget last year, and we underspent it by $1 million just by managing it more smartly. I think there's efficiencies to be made in the budget. I think there's efficiencies to be had still at the city departments. I think nonprofits need to be audited every single year. I think we need to compare each nonprofit. I think we have duplicity of services. I think there's a lot of money that's ill-spent, that's misspent in the city that could be used to focus on that. There's also a couple of the tax measures, at least one, that I do support, and that would be the real estate transfer tax.
I see Barbara Baggett-Lopez sitting in the back row there. What's it been, about 8, 9 years or so since we first met? I was invited to join the UCSF's Community Advisory Group, and I leaped at the invitation, in particular because of the importance of this UCSF campus to all of District 6, because of the educational opportunities, because of the jobs, because of the research, because of the spin-off businesses that certainly have moved in around the campus, and more than any other reason, because there is a plot of land that's only about a block and a half away from us here that is dedicated to the Unified School District. That is our property. That is for our school. And if I have anything to say about it, that's going to be a high school for District 6. School board makes lots of excuses as to why we can't do it. I'd like to hear more from the school board about what we can do.
Thank
you, Jim. Actually, when that site was first conveyed to SFUSD, there was a lot of promises that we would make it into a science technology magnet for the Bayview, actually. And it was a really huge disappointment when we surveyed the land and we realized that under the ed code that the footprint was not large enough for us to build a high school. You need a gymnasium and several other things. So there are a couple of restrictions there. So the focus now is on whether we can build a very small K-8 school. That would be a very, very small K-8 school or a K-5 school. We have this property until 2027. But as you all know, we don't have money to build a school. We will need to pass another bond in order for us to build another school. I think that is eventually going to happen. Currently, the data doesn't support us building a school yet. We have enough spots in the number of 70 elementary schools that we have to take in all of the children here in Mission Bay. We have Daniel Webster, which has a Spanish immersion program. We have Star King, which is a Mandarin immersion program. And we have Bessie Carmichael and Yikwao Elementary School, all that have spaces for kids. But I do think in the long run, we will be building a school here in SFUSD. I really look forward to the city partnering with the school district on this initiative. The mayor's office is very committed to it, but we do need to pass another bond in order for us to have the money to construct this building.
When you talk to folks who have moved out of San Francisco, there are two reasons. One is the cost of housing, and the other is the quality of our schools. And this is one of those things that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, with the leadership of Tom Amiano, has tried to partner better with the Unified School District, which is a state agency and is totally separate from the city. But we also have put money where our mouth is and have Prop H funds that we have actually this year given to the school to help deal with some of their deficit. What we can do also as a city is to deal with the deficiencies, the after-school programs. We don't have summer school this year because of cuts. So these are some of the things that we can, and we talk about with when I chaired the Arts Task Force in San Francisco, we talked about aiming our community arts programs to partner better with the programs offered the school district has and the schools they have. And this is what the city should and could do with our arts funding.
As the previous supervisor, Chris Daly, has done, and when I was in his office, there was land found at the old site. Fundraising occurred, legislation was worked on and passed that was able to help create not only the Bessie Carmichael School, but the Victoria Manola Draves Park. We have the blueprint in hand. Yet, I'm a little concerned about some of those numbers. I continue to hear people say that there's a huge flight of the middle class from San Francisco. So, if we've got 450 children and these people are taking flight, something doesn't really mesh here. Yes, we do need to have that school. Yes, we have hundreds of children, who are not just in that area, but over in the South of Market area, Filipino families, African American families that have lived there for several generations that we need to look out after. So yes, we do have the blueprint for building a new school. We'll continue to do it the same way that it's been done, but we also need to make sure that we're working with the community, and we need to keep those families here, and not see those families leave.
To expedite a new school for the Rincon area or the Mission Bay area, I could advocate for the families and the children who reside in that particular area in Mission Bay. The Board of Supervisors do not have a lot of control over the Board of Education. However, through advocacy, we could project and show the Board of Education or explain to the Board of Education the need for such a school in that area. As you know, I am a special education teacher, have a credential, and I am in support of as many schools and as many opportunities for children within the community, District 6, San Francisco, to engage in some sort of educational process or activities.
Well, first we would have to look at the land that the school board owns, if they have any land available in that area, and then actually get the numbers and see how many students it would be. I am definitely for community-based schools or neighborhood-based schools. I went to a neighborhood-based school in Pittsburgh, and I think that it gave me a great sense of community. I think that if we can expedite it, then we should. But it would just depend on if there's land for it, and I'm sure there is in that area, so we'll see what the school board has on hand and see what we can do about that.
Well, the first thing to understand is the Board of Supervisors doesn't control the school district. That's the school board is in control of schools, and so they're the ones who can really make the decisions about the schools. But I do think that the development of families is fantastic for the neighborhood, and it's good for the district, and it's good for Mission Bay. I think that a lot of good has come to this city because of this new development. And so one thing the board can do is make the existing neighborhood more child-friendly. We need to include playgrounds for children. Now that we're doing all this development, we include playgrounds, and we need to include ball fields and more things to make the neighborhood more family-friendly, to encourage more people. I would actually encourage the development of more family housing within the Mission Bay neighborhood, and also helping, as I said earlier, with community policing in order to ensure that the neighborhood stays safe for children of all ages.